What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your second stimulus check update. And in this video, we're going to go over the new news about the stimulus check negotiations. And also, we're going to go over a big deadline that is coming very soon, which may affect us a lot. But first, if you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed yet, click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so. This way you won't miss out on second stimulus check update videos, unemployment extension videos, and all related information. My wife and I do hours of research for you guys every single day so we can bring you the current up-to-date information as soon as it comes out. And I want to thank you guys so much. We're almost at 200,000 subscribers. We've had over 15 million views on this channel. It's surreal. So I want to thank you guys so much, and don't forget to smash the like button for us down below. Mark Meadows and the White House and the Republican team are reaching out to Democrats to restart the stimulus negotiations. The stimulus negotiations are the most important part to getting a stimulus check and getting the unemployment extension. The reason for this is because these other side bills, like the bills that the Democrats passed in the House on Saturday for the post office, and that the Republicans just announced with their bill that has the unemployment extension and various other things, those bills are unlikely to go farther. The Democrats that proposed their bill in the House, the Republicans said they're not going to pass it. And the Republican bill that they announced in the Senate is unlikely to be passed by the House, by the Democrats. So the negotiation part is the most important part, where Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer for the Democrats and White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin are negotiating. That's the most important part to get you guys a stimulus check and unemployment extension, and possibly some of the other things that might come there, like money for small businesses through PPP funding, and also payroll tax holiday, which is supposed to start September 1st from the president, where all working Americans will receive a 7.65% raise in their paycheck. We're going to see some other things like that in these bills, but the negotiations part are the most important part. Here's the thing. A lot of these bills, the Democrats and the Republicans announce, they know what they're doing. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe that's giving them too much credit. But a lot of times they pass these bills or they announce these bills because it shows what they want. It's their starting negotiation point. You would think at this point that they know it's not going to pass. Maybe they're listening to this channel and now they know it's not going to pass, okay? But a lot of times it's the starting point for them. This is the Republicans' starting point. This is the Democrats' starting point. This announces, hey, this is what we want. We're showing you what we want. Now let's negotiate, okay? That's why the negotiations are still the most important part. We're going to see some bills come out where the Democrats announce a bill, the Republicans announce a bill, and it doesn't have everything that, this side wants, or it doesn't have the checks. But ultimately what matters is the negotiations. That's going to be the most important part for you, for me, for average everyday Americans, people that are unemployed, small business owners that are really struggling. In fact, there's a new survey out that 1/5 of small business owners may go bankrupt or close due to this pandemic. And I think at least that, possibly even more. You think about restaurants, just like your average everyday, businesses in your city. If they're not backed by a big company with many, many millions of dollars, restaurants have got to be down big time. And when you go to a restaurant, most of the time me and my wife are doing takeout because we just don't want to be eating with a whole bunch of people. And, you got to think, 100 people in a restaurant, it's just not really a good place to be with the virus. So I got to think that restaurants are down by 25 to 50%. And that's a lot of money. Most restaurants don't run at a 50% profit margin. So if they're down by 50%, that means that they're on their way to going out of business. And the more businesses that go out of business, the more people that lose their jobs. And it's just, and the economy worsens. It's just a complete cycle that is really bad. So when we do get this new stimulus package, we are going to need more money for small businesses and the PPP Paycheck Protection Program, where they use that money to pay their employees. That helps people keep their jobs. We're going to need a bunch of little things like that. I know that might not affect you specifically watching if you're not a small business owner or you're not, an employee of a small business. Just like the unemployment helps out millions of Americans, but it might not help out you specifically. It may not. But we're going to need a lot of aid, a lot of stimulus in the form of different things. We're going to need checks, direct checks. That's what most people want because it affects the most people. Then we're going to need unemployment extension. We're going to need PPP money for small business owners and employees of small businesses. And really, that payroll tax holiday was a nice little thing thrown in there by the president, because that affects 140 million people that are going to take home more money. If you make $45,000, you're going to take home about an extra $1,200 in your paycheck, little by little, maybe $100 a week for the last 12 weeks of the year. So somebody making $45,000 is going to get an extra $1,200 stimulus check, but in their weekly paychecks, by having a little bit less taxes taken on every single week. And we have some strong words from Senator Tim Kaine, who is a Democrat from Virginia. He thinks that right after the Republican National Convention is over, which is this week on Thursday, that there's going to be a big push to pass more stimulus. He says, I actually think there is going to be some motive to really get down to brass tacks right after the Republican convention. He says the Senate will likely be motivated to work towards a deal on the virus relief shortly after the Republican National Convention, with a deal hopefully soon after Labor Day, which is in about a week. He says in regards to the amount of the stimulus package, the top line number will end up, in my view, being somewhere in the middle. But we have to make sure unemployed workers are taken care of and people don't get kicked out of their homes during a global pandemic, or apartments and people have food aid. And these are the kind of basics before Democrats can agree to have a package. And that'll lead us right into the time frame of a next big deadline that is going to concern a lot of lawmakers and might be an opportunity to add additional stimulus in there at that time. And that is the looming government shutdown. You see, we've had about 5 or 6 different stimulus packages already. Unemployment extension, the checks, we've had money for PPP money. We've had multiple different stimuluses passed through these different packages. And this will be another opportunity that they could pass before then, and then possibly have another one passed by then, just depending on the time frame. And that is because the current government funding expires on September 30th. Both the House and the Senate aren't expected to return to Washington until September 8th, which the House already did return, but unless, of course, congressional leaders strike a deal on a virus relief package with the Trump administration, in which case the Senate would come back to vote on it. So what exactly is a government shutdown? We had this happen a few years ago, and it was a big national crisis that we don't want to happen again. As you can see here, a government shutdown, many federal government agencies and programs rely on annual funding appropriations made by Congress. They really should do this for longer than 1 year, so they don't have to have this deadline looming every single year when they can't agree on this stuff to begin with. It's just they need to pass it for longer. Every year, Congress must pass and the president must sign budget legislation for the next fiscal year, consisting of 12 appropriation bills, one for each appropriations subcommittee of the government. When the federal government's fiscal year begins on October 1st, Congress has enacted none of the 12 appropriations bills for 2020 that make up the discretionary spending budget. In a shutdown, federal agencies must discontinue all non-essential functions until new funding legislation is passed and signed into law. Essential services continue to function, as do mandatory spending programs. So this looming deadline is about 30 days away, 30 days and a couple days away. And then the government will shut down if they can't come to an agreement on this. So if they can pass stimulus before then or not up until then, this will be another opportunity to pass more stimulus, extend the unemployment possibly to the end of the year or past the end of the year. They might bundle in stimulus with these things. And the government shutdown is a really big thing. When the government shut down a few years ago, it was huge national news, and many government agencies shut down. And I remember national parks, you couldn't even go to national parks. And it was a big disaster that we don't want to have happen again. That's going to happen in about 30 days if they can't come to an agreement. And you've seen the Senate is still on recess until September 8th, unless they come back to vote on a stimulus package if they have an agreement before then. They have 24 hours to come back if they can come to a stimulus package agreement. So they're going to have about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks to pass a bill like this. And it's going to put more on their plate here right before the elections and with the stimulus package being agreed on. So it is going to be a busy month of September with a government shutdown looming, the unemployment extension, looming, the stimulus checks, and the election all coming up. So make sure you guys are subscribed. I will keep you guys updated on all the important news, stimulus check, unemployment, and other related news if it affects us. And don't forget to smash the like button for us down below. You can click on this top video to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this bottom video is an award my wife and I received from YouTube. You can watch that. That's a really good video. And this top video is how to start a business selling products on Amazon FBA. I have students that have replaced their entire 9-to-5 income, and I teach them how to do that. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.